Welcome folks. In this video we are going to look at some questions from section B of mathematics paper 2 for the year 2020, and this paper was written by the internal candidates. Now here we'll look at question 8, where we will have the questions from the 8th geometry. Then we'll also question B and C, that is coming from the calculus. Then we are going to look at question 9, where we have the question for standard deviation and also the graph associated with statistics. And the last question will be on the trig. Okay, so now let's begin with question 8a. P, Q, R, and T are points on the surface of the earth as shown in the diagram below. Take pi as 3.142 and radius 37 nautical miles. Now let's look at the question. So the first question is find the difference in the longitude between points Q and R. So we need to look at the longitude for R. So the longitude for R is 21 degrees west. Then for Q, we can see that for Q is 41 degrees east. So to find the difference between longitude, where we have longitude on the west and the other one on the east, we are supposed to add. So difference, will say 21 plus 41. So if we add 21 plus 41, this will give us 62 degrees. So this is our final answer for this question. Now let's look at if we want to find now, calculate the distance in nautical miles of the first one, PQ. So let's look at PQ. So we can see that PQ is the distance along the longitude. So if you are calculating the distance along the longitude, you are supposed to find the difference in latitude. So that is our first step. So we need to find the difference in latitude. So now let's look at the letters of consideration. So the first two letters, it's PQ, our P. The latitude for P is 80 degrees north. Then for Q is 60 degrees south. So we are going to do the same. We are going to add. So difference is equal to, it's 80 degrees plus 60 degrees. So we can say that for P is 80 on northern part, then for Q 60 on the southern part. So if we add 60 plus 80 will give us 140. Now after we are done finding the theta, we can now look at the formula. So the formula is distance is equal to theta, then divided by 360 2 pi r. So what is our theta is 140 over 360 times 2 times the pi is 3.142. Then the radius in nautical miles is 37. So let's now do calculations. So it's 140 times 3.142 times 2 times 37. So I'm getting 3,023,735.12 nautical miles, then divided by 360. So I'm getting 8,399.2, which is 0.3 in nautical miles. This is our distance. Then if you want, you can now round it off, correct to 3 significant figures. Now let me just redo again, so to be sure that our answer is correct. So 140 times 2 times 3.142 times 37, okay, divided by 360. Okay, so this is our answer. Now, for question B, we want to find the distance RT. So where is RT? So this distance here. So we can see that this is the distance along the latitude. So the formula here, the formula will be distance is equal to theta divided by 360 2 pi r, then you add cos x. Then if you are finding the distance along the latitude, you are supposed to find the difference in longitude. So let's find the difference in the longitude. So let's look at the longitude 40. The longitude 40 is 71 degrees west. Then for r is also located on the western part. So here we are going to subtract. So say 71 minus 21. This will give us 50 degrees as our difference. Remember, so if the two longitudes are located on the same side, then you are supposed to subtract for you to find the difference. So we have our theta is 50 over 360 times 2 times the pi 3.142, then 34, 37, then we'll have cos. Now the value that we are supposed to put where there is x, you put the value of the latitude where the letters are lying. So the letters T and D are lying on latitude 60. So where there is x, we put 60 degrees. So we can now do mathematics. 50 multiplied by 2 times 3.142 times 34, 37. Then we'll have times cos 60. So I'm getting 539,952.7 nautical miles over 360. Then divided by 360. So I'm getting 1,499.9 nautical miles. So this is the answer that we can solve for this question. Now let's move on to question. We need to go to question B. A curve has a gradient x squared minus 4x plus 3. Find the equation of this curve if it passes through the point 3, -1. So the point C 3, -1 indicates the point of contact. So this is our point of contact. So if you were to draw the graph, the gradient, even the tangent, the point of contact is where the graph, which is the curve, the tangent and the normal meets. So point of contact we are given. Then from there we have the gradient. So this is same as this is our dy over dx. We have been given a function that was differentiated. So it's x squared minus 4x plus 3. Now the equation is we want to find the equation of this curve. So we can see that the equation, after it was differentiated, it gave them a quadratic. So before differential, this was a cubic function. The x, the highest degree of x was to the power 3. So this means that we are supposed to integrate. So whenever you are given a gradient function, you are supposed to integrate. So the integral of dy over dx, we just look at our here. So this will be y is equal to, then what happens to the power? So to the power we have 2, we are supposed to add 1 over the same 2 plus 1. Then we can see that the x here has a power of 1, we add 1 plus over 1 plus 1 plus c. We can see that here the constant 3, this must become 3x. So whenever you are given a number, you are supposed to attach a letter x to it. Then plus c, we need to have a constant. So let's now have y is equal to, this will give us x to the power 3 over 3 plus c, so this should be minus 4 over 1 plus 1, we are going to have a 2x squared plus c, 3x, then we add c. Then after that, we can reduce, we can see that our y is equal to 1 over 3 x to the power 3 minus c, 4 over 2 x squared. We can reduce, so 2 into 4, this will give us c. Let me just cancel this. So y is equal to 1 over 3 x raised to the power 3, then minus c, here we are going to have 2x squared plus 3x plus c. Then after we are done integrating the question, now the remaining part is find the value of c. So how can we find the value of c? We are going to find the value of c by substituting the value of x. We are given the value of x and also the value of y. So x is equal to 3, y is equal to negative 1. So where there is, okay, so the coordinates, we have 3, negative 1. This is our y, this is our x, this is our y. Then after this, y, we know that y is negative 1 is equal to 1 over 3. Then what is our x? X is 3 times 3 times 3, since we have raised to the power 3, minus 2, here we have 3 times 3, since we have a squared here, plus 3, then 3 here, then plus c. So we have negative 1 is equal to this 3 will cancel. Then we can see that we have 3 times 3 will give us 9 times 1, here we have 9, minus 3 times 3 is 9 times 2 will give us negative 18 here, plus c, we'll have 9 here, then plus c. So we know that if we add these two numbers, it will give us 9 plus 9 will give us 18 minus c, 18 plus c. So you can see that these two will cancel. So c is equal to negative 1. So after we are done finding the value of c, we can now write our equation, the one that we've integrated. So y is equal to 1 over 3 x raised to the power 3 minus 2x squared plus c, 3x. Now where there is c, we put negative 1. So this was the equation of the curve. So if we want to check if our answer is making sense, we can try to differentiate, and we see if we differentiate here, we see that if we bring our 3 down here, if we cancel this, it will be x raised to the power 2. Here we are going to have 4 then, so we have the correct answer there. Now let's go back to question C. So for question C, we want to find the equation of the normal to the curve. Y is equal to x raised to the power 3 minus 2x squared minus 4x plus c, 1 at the point, so I forgot the point is negative 1, 2 according to my past paper here. So what is our first step that we are supposed to do whenever we are trying to find the equation of the normal? So the first step that we are supposed to do is, we know that the equation, the normal is a straight line, and the equation for a straight line is y minus y1 is equal to gradient times open bracket x minus x1. So we have x, x1 and y1, we have it. So this is our x1, y1 here. Now the remaining part, we know that if we are to apply this formula. Y minus y1, we have the value for y1. Gradient, we don't have. X1, we don't have. So what are we going to do to find the gradient? So we are first going to find the first derivative of this equation. So the equation of this particular curve is equal to y is equal to x raised to the power 3 minus 2x squared minus 4x plus 1. So we are going to use the power rule. So power rule, we know that the first letter is y, so this will be dy with so we're going to differentiate y with respect to x. So how do we differentiate if we're using the power rule? So we bring down the power, so this will become 3x. After we bring down that power, we subtract a 1. We repeat the process. These two move here. We are going to have 2x raised to the power 2 minus 1 minus 4. We can see that the x has a power of 1. We bring it down, so this will be 1x 1 minus 1. Then the derivative of a constant is always 0. Then here we are going to have 3x raised to the power 3 minus 1 will give us a 2. Here we can multiply, so negative 2 times positive 2 will get negative 4x raised to the power 1 minus 4 times 1 is 4, x raised to the power 0. Then if we continue, we can now simplify, so this will give us 3x squared minus 4x minus 4x raised to the power 0 is just 1. Then our final, in terms of the first derivative, is 3x squared minus 4x minus 4. Now, we are done differentiating. So this means that here we are done with finding the first derivative of this particular curve. Then where there is the dy over dx expression, we put gradient. So the first derivative is helping us to find the gradient at the point of contact. So now let's go back to the point of contact. So the point of contact, the coordinates, it's -1, 2. So it's -1, 2. So we know that the x value, we have it is -1. So where there is x here, we are going to put -1. So -1 times -1 minus 4 times -1 minus 4 here. So what's our gradient? So -1 times -1 is +1 times 3. Here we are going to have a 3. Then here this sign will change to positive. 4 times 1 is just 4 minus 4. We know that our final answer will be 3, since these two will cancel each. So we have our gradient. Now remember, at the point of contact, the gradient that we have solved is the gradient for a curve. Now at the point of contact, the gradient of the curve is equal to the gradient of the tangent. So the gradient of the tangent is also equal to 3. Now if the gradient of the tangent is equal to 3, then what is the gradient of the normal? So let's look at the relationship between it. If this is our tangent, what is the relationship between the tangent and the normal? So the tangent and the normal, they meet perpendicular to each other at the point of contact. So they make an angle of 90. So if this is our case, then how can we make the gradient of the tangent to become the gradient of the normal? So we'll say gradient of the normal would be equal to, since we have a whole number, the gradient over the normal will become a fraction. So that's a pattern. So if you have a whole number, you just make it a fraction, 1 over that number. If this was a fraction, we would have just flip the fraction. The denominator becomes a numerator. For example, if the gradient of the tangent is 2 over 3, the gradient of the normal is 3 over 2. Then also don't forget to change the sign. If the gradient of the normal, of the tangent, is positive, the gradient of the normal will be negative and vice versa. Then we can now go back to the equation of the normal. We have now everything. So the gradient, we have it, it's negative 1 over 3. Then the point of contact, we have it, is negative 1, 2. So now let's solve. So this will be y minus c. What is our y1? Our y1 is just 2. Then the gradient is negative 1 over 3. x1 is negative 1. Now we can simplify. This will give us y minus 2 is equal to negative 1 over 3. First, I just want to simplify the inside of the bracket. So negative times negative here, we get positive 1. Now, for those that maybe if you are okay with solving it involving fractions, it's fine, you can do it. But I prefer we first get rid of the fraction. So this, if you want to get rid of the fraction, you multiply everything by the number here. So this 3 will multiply with y, so will give us 3y. Then the second one will multiply with negative 2, will give us negative 6. Then the remaining part is like this, is negative 1 over 3, then x plus 3 times 3. So the key point is this and this will cancel, giving us now negative 1 x plus 3. So we know that it's simpler if we don't have the fraction. So 3y minus 6 is equal to negative 1 times x will give us negative x. Negative 1 times positive 3 will give us negative 3. Then 3y, if we shift negative 6 to the other side, will give us negative x minus 3 plus 6, which is this one will be 3y is equal to negative x plus 3. Then if you want to make sure that you leave y as the subject of formula, you can now get rid of the number in front of y over 3 over 3. So that now our final answer is just y is equal to negative 1 over 3x plus 1. So this is the equation of the normal. Now let's move on to this question, question 9. So for question 9, the table below shows the distribution of length of plots in a certain locality. So we have length of plot M, then in frequency. The first question is we want to find to calculate the standard deviation. So we are going to find the standard deviation. We're not going to use the table. Now, before we proceed by finding the standard deviation, first let's look at the data. What type of data do we have? So this data is a group T data. Now, how do you know that the group T, this is a group T data? You're going to be given an interval. An interval like this interval here. 331 less than or equal to x less than or equal to 35. So whenever you see this means that the data that you are dealing with are grouped data. Then for ungrouped data, we just have individual numbers. Like if this is maybe 1, 2, 3, 6, whenever you see individual numbers, that is ungrouped data. Now the formula for grouped data, if you don't want to use a table, the formula is this one. First we begin with the mean. So the symbol for the mean is this x with bar. Then is equal to summation of f of x over summation of frequency. Then after that, we are going to find now the standard deviation. The standard deviation for this, if we don't want to use the table, it will be like this. So we need to find the summation of f of x squared over summation of f minus mean squared. So that's what we are going to do. Now, what is x? So x represents the midpoint. So, for example, the first interval, we know it's 1 to 5 here. So this is our first interval. So the midpoint of 1 and 5, which number is in between 1 and 5? Let's say if we want to show this, we can say if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the midpoint is the number in between, which is 3. So if we want to check, we see, we cancel this, we cancel this, we cancel this, we cancel this. So we can see that the midpoint is 3. But the easiest way, how do we find the midpoint? We will be adding this 1, you add plus 5, then over 2. So 1 plus 5 is equal to 6 over 2. So this means that our midpoint for the first interval here is 3. So we have 3. Let's find the second one. So the second one is 6 plus 6 plus 10 is 16 divided by 2. We have 80 as C. Then here we have 11 plus 15 is 26 divided by 2. We get 13. Then for 16 plus 20. So 16 plus 20, 36 divided by 2. So our midpoint here is 18. 21 plus 25 is 46 divided by 2. So here is 23. Then for this one will be 26 plus 30 is 56 divided by 2. So I have 28 here. Then 31 plus 35 is the 6 divided by 2. So we have 33 here. So all these numbers on top here represents the midpoint. Now, since we have the midpoint, let's find the mean. So we know that mean is equal to summation. So we are supposed to multiply the frequency, which is 0 times 3 plus 2 times 8 plus 11 times 13, then over the total frequency. So let's do this. So the first midpoint is, so we'll say 3 times, or let's begin with the frequency. So the frequency is 0 times 3 plus 2 times 8 plus 13, which is, we are beginning with 11 times 13 plus 44 times 18 plus 31 times 23 plus 8 times 28 plus 4 times 33 over the total of the frequency, so which is 0 plus 2 plus 11 plus 44 plus 31 plus 8 plus 4. Okay, so now let's proceed. So now let's do the multiplication. So 0 times 3 here is just 0 plus 2 times 8 will give us 16 plus 11 times 13. I'm getting 143 plus 44 times 18. I'm getting 792 plus 31 times 33, 31 times 23. So I'm getting 713 plus 8 times 28, 224. plus 4 times 3 is just 12 over, let's find the total. So 0 plus 2 is 2, plus 11, 13, plus 44, 57, plus 31, 88, plus 8, 96, plus 4, 100. So our total frequency is 100. Then let's find the sum of the above numbers. So 0 plus 16 is just 16, plus 143, plus 792, plus 713, plus 224, plus 12. So I'm getting 1900 over 100. So according to my calculations, I can see that my mean is just 19. So this is my mean. Okay, now we are done finding the mean. So from the formula for standard deviation, we are going to now look at we need to find the summation of f of x squared divided by summation of frequency. So that is what we are going to look at here. So summation of f of x squared over summation of f. Now I want you to see the only difference here is similar to mean, but mean the x is not squared. So this time we are just going to square the midpoint. So begin, it's 0 times 3 squared is 9. So 3 squared is 9, plus we have 2 times 8 squared is 64, plus 11 times 13 squared is 169. So times 169 plus 44 times 18 squared, I'm getting 324, plus where are we, 31 times 23 squared, so 529, plus 80 times 28 squared, 784, plus we have 4 times 3 squared is 9. Then over, we know the frequency will not change, it's still 100. So that is the only difference here. You just have to square the midpoint. Okay, so now we can, so 0 times 9 is 0, plus 64 times 2, so 128, plus 11 times 169, 1859, plus 44 times 324, 14,000, so 14,256, plus where are we, plus 31, let's make sure I don't make a mistake, 31 times 529, 529, 16,000, 16,399, plus are we 8 times 8 times, this should be 8 times, let me face the easy, 8 times 28, 8 times 28, 224, 8 should be 2080 times 2080, or I forgot, this should be 8 times 784. I forgot 8 here. Okay, so we are now at 80 times 784. So I'm getting 6,272 plus 4 times 9 will give us 36 over 100. Okay, so now we can add the numbers on top. So 128 plus 1859 plus 14,256 plus 16,399 plus 6,272 plus 36. So I'm getting 38,950, then over 100. So if we divide by 100, I'm getting 389.5. So now we can write our formula here. We're almost done. So we know that the formula for standard deviation is equal to square root of summation of f of x squared over summation of f minus mean squared. So we can now do the substitution. We have found this number here, so this will be 389.5 minus what's our mean? Mean we calculated to be 19, but we need to square 19. So what is 19 squared? So 361. Then let's find the difference. 389.5 minus 361, so I'm getting 28.5, the square root of this number, so I'm getting 5.334. So if we want to leave it in 3 significant figures, so we have it. So this is how we can find the standard deviation minus using a table. So we can see the steps. The first step is find the mean. After you find the mean, find this expression of summation of f of x squared over f of x. X is midpoint. You square the square of midpoint times frequency, then you add over the total, which is frequency. So now we have our answer like that. Now let's look at where we are supposed to graph. So here we are done with standard deviation. Then let's look at this question. Using the table above, copy and complete. So this table must be on the graph paper. You have to copy and also complete. Okay, so now we can see that the values above are for the x, then below we have y here. So how do we copy and complete? So here we can see that this number here, 0, was just you just bring it down here. Then for you to have this next number, you need to add. So 0 plus 2, we have 2. Then 2 plus 11, we have 13. 13 13 plus so 13 plus 44. 44 plus 13, here we are going to have 57. Then 57 plus 31. So plus 31, we get 88 here. 88. Then 88 plus 8, we have 96. Then the last one, we know that if we add 96 plus 4, we get our 100 here. So we are done copying and we've completed the table. Now let's look at Roman number 2. Using a scale of 2 centimeters, we represent 5 units on the horizontal axis. The horizontal axis is the x-axis, and 2 centimeters represent 10 units on the vertical axis. Draw the smooth cumulative frequency curve. Okay, so let's go to our graph here. So we are going to draw this line. Make sure whenever you are drawing the line, these two lines, the x and the y axis, make sure you use a rule. So this is our x. Then we are going to have our vertical, which is our y axis. Okay, so now let's look at the scale. The scale for the x-axis is 2 centimeters to represent 5 units. Now let's look at the lowest number. The lowest number for x is 5, then the highest is 35. So we need to make sure that we make the scale up to that. So say if this is our 0, here we are going to have 5, since it's 2 centimeters represent 5. 5 plus 5, here we have 10. Then 15. Here we are going to have 20, 25, 30, 35 here. If you want, we can reach for this. Okay, the key point is we have our 35. Then let's go back to our y. The scale for y, it's 2 centimeters to represent 10 units on the y. So on the y, we need to have 10 units. So after 2 centimeters, we'll have 10. So this will give us 20, 30, 40, 50. We know that the cumulative frequency is 100, so we need to reach 100. Okay, so we have our numbers the way we want these numbers. So now let's copy this table here. So we have length of plot in meters, then frequency. So we have the frequency. So the frequencies we have 0, 2, 13, 57, 88, 96, 100, then less than or equal to 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. So now, before we start graphing, we need to make sure that we know what these smaller boxes in both axes represent. So in the x-axis, since it's 2 centimeters represent 5, so we are using 5, we divide by 10. So 5 divided by 10, this means that each smaller box represents 0.05. Then in x-axis, we know that it's 2 centimeters, it represents 10, so it's 10 over 10. So the key point is it's that number that you are using over 10. So 10 into 10 is 1. So we know that the smaller boxes in y-axis represents 1. So now let's look at the coordinates. So the coordinates, the first value is we are going to have 5,0, then the second one 10,2, 15,13. Okay, so let's look at so the first one is 5,0, so 5,0 is here. Then the second one it's 10,2. 10, you go where there's 10 in the x-axis, then you move 2 more points, so our 2 is here. Okay. Then it's 15,13. 15,13, so 15 is here. 10, 11, 12, 13 here. Then we have 20,57. 20,57. So 20, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57 is somewhere here. Then we have 25,88. So 25,88. So 80 is here. 88 is somewhere here. Then we have 30,96. So 30 in x-axis. 30,96. So 90, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 somewhere here. Then in the last one, we know it's 35,100. So this is where our point will be. Then we can draw our curve. So with that question, we are done. We've drawn a smooth cumulative frequency curve. Now after we are done with this, let's look at Roman number 3. Showing your method clearly, use your graph to estimate interquartile range. So we want to find the interquartile range. So what's the formula for interquartile range? So IQR is equal to, we are going to have upper quartile minus lower quartile. So what is the upper quartile? So let's look at the upper quartile. So the quartile 3 is equal to 3 over 4 multiplied by our cumulative frequency. So the cumulative frequency is the total of the frequency, or it is the highest number on the y-axis where this curve is reaching. So this curve is reaching at 100, so it's multiplied by 100. Then what is 3 over 4 times 100? This will give us 75. So if you punch that on a calculator, now 75 is not our final answer, so we need to go in the y-axis. We need to look at where there is 75. So 75 is between 70 and 80. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Then what we are going to do is we are supposed to draw a straight line parallel to the x-axis, until it touches our curve. Remember, these are estimations. We may not have the exact answer. Then after this line has touched the curve, we now have to move down prior to the y-axis, so we need to move in this direction. So where this line will touch with the x-axis is where our answer is. So this is where our answer is. So now let's look at here. What are we supposed to do? Or this should not be 0. This should be 0.5. So we know 20. So if we add 2 more boxes in the x makes 1. So 21, 22, 23. So according to my graph here, I'm getting 23. We know that here it's plots length in meters, so it's 23 meters. So that is our, so therefore upper quartile is equal to 23 meters. Now what is our lower quartile? So quarter 1 Q1 is equal to 1 over 4 multiplied by cumulative frequency. So 1 over 4 times the cumulative frequency is 100. So what is the quarter of 100 is 25. So we'll do the same. We need to go in the y-axis where there is 25. Then we'll move parallel to the x-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll do the same. Then upon touching this, we have to turn down. So this is why I'm so 15, 16, 17. So my lower quartile, quarter 1 is equal to 17 meters. Then we can now proceed by finding interquartile range. So quartile 3 is 23 minus 17. So 23 minus 17 is equal to 6. So this is our final answer. Okay, so we are done with this one. Let's look at for question 10. Now for question 10, 3 villages A, B and C are joined by straight roads as shown in the diagram below. Okay, so we have been given all the 3 distances. Then given that AB is equal to 10.2 kilometers, BC 15.6 kilometers, AC is equal to 9.4 kilometers, calculate angle BAC to the nearest whole number. So BAC, the middle letter is so the angle, our angle theta that we are calculating is here. So let's look at the angle with its corresponding side. So this side will be our A, then here will be our C, then this will be our B. Now, what is the formula to find an angle? So we know that, before we look at the formula, which rule are we going to use? So here we are supposed to use the cosine rule. How do you know that this is a cosine rule? Whenever you are given 3 distances. So whenever you are given 3 distances and you are asked to find an angle, just know that you are going to use the cosine rule. So we know that our A, according to this graph, our A is for 15.6. 15, is it 15? Okay, 15.6, yes. Then our B 9.4. Then our C is 10.2. So the formula for the cosine rule is A squared is equal to B squared plus C squared minus 2bc cos A. Now for this formula, we are even lucky that the letters according to the formula is the exact letters that we have in our question. So here we are not going to make some changes. So this is our formula, because the reason why the angle that we are solving is corresponding to this distance A. So we just use this formula the way it is. Now let's look at if we are to make cos A the subdivision formula. So this will give us, we know that our A squared will remain here, then B and C will shift to this side. So this will give us negative B squared minus C squared is equal to negative 2bc cos A. Then we can divide by negative 2bc, also here by negative 2bc. So that if we cancel cos theta, let's use theta for now, cos theta is equal to, we can divide negative into A squared is negative A squared. Let's begin with the B. Negative into B squared is B squared. Negative into C squared is positive C squared. Negative into A is negative A squared over 2bc. So this is the formula that you can master, which is where we have made the theta, the subdivision formula. So now let's look at we put the data the way we have the data. So cos its angle A is equal to, what's our B? B is 9.4 squared plus C is 10.2 squared minus A is, what is our A? 15.6 squared over 2, our B is 9.4, our C is 10.2. Okay, so now let's do the mathematics here. So 9.4 times 9.4, so I'm getting 88.36 plus 10.2 times 10.2, so I'm getting 104.04 minus 15.6 times 15.6, so I'm getting 243.36 over 2 times 9.4 times 10.2, so I'm getting 191.76. So we can now add the numerator. So we have cos A is equal to 88.36 plus 104.04, I'm getting 192 here. 0.4 minus 243.36 over 191.76. So 192.4 minus 243.36, so I'm getting negative 50.96 divided by now 191.76. So cos A is equal to, so negative 50.96 divided by 191.76. So I'm getting negative 0.2657488 52. So whenever you are dealing with the cosine, whenever you have negative 0.0 something, just know that the angle theta will be greater than 90. So that is, we are expecting to have a number greater than 90. So let's see. So we are going to shift this. We have angle A is equal to, so what is now shift? So say shift cos of negative 0.2657 48 85 2. So I'm getting 105.4 degrees. Then we are told that to the nearest whole number, so we don't need the decimal. So it's 105, and we can say that 105 is greater than 90. So we have our angle. So this means that here there is an angle of 105. Now we can go back to the questions. So the Roman number 2, the area of triangle ABC. So area is equal to half AB sine C. Now we have all the three distances. So which two distances are we going to use? So we are going to use the distance B and C. Why? These are the two distances that are forming an angle. If we have, so you use the distances that are forming the angle. Do not use the distance corresponding to that angle that you have. So we are going to use B and C. So this formula will be area is equal to half BC sine A. Since the angle is A, so area is equal to half. What's our B? Our B is 9.4. Then what's our C? 10.2 sine 105. So we can now do mathematics. 9.4 times 10.2, then sine 105. So I'm getting 92.61296822 over 2, then divided by 2, so I'm getting 46.3. What are the units? So the units are kilometers, so say kilometers squared. So this is our area. Now for Roman number 3, shortest distance from A to BC. From A to BC. So the formula for the shortest distance is this one. So shortest distance is equal to 2 times the area over the base. So 2 times the area. The area is 46.305 over, now what's our B? So the value to substitute where there is B, you look at the two letters BC. So we're going to look at the distance for BC. So the distance for BC is this one, 15.16. So 15.6. So here we have 92.612968 over 15.6. So we divide by 15.6. So our answer is just 5.9 kilometers. So this is our shortest distance. Now we move on to question B. Solve the equation 2 cos theta is equal to 1. So this is question number B. 2 cos theta is equal to 1. Then we have 0. So 0 degrees. So it's up to 180. Now for this one, we can see that the first thing, we need to get rid of the number in front of the trig ratio. Then we'll divide by 2 here by 2. So we have cos theta is equal to, here we are going to have 0.5. Now since this number is a positive one, we want where cos is positive. So cos is positive in the first quadrant and the fourth quadrant. Now since the range is from 0 up to 180, so we are only going to find just one angle. Why? Because the fourth quadrant is in 270 up to 360, so, and we can see that we are not allowed to reach there. So we'll do the same, we shift the cos. This will give us theta is equal to cos inverse of 0.5, and this is one of the special angles. This will give us 60 degrees. So whenever you want an angle cos where positive and you are given 0 to 90 or 0 to 180, 0 to 270, just find the angle in the first quadrant. Then we are supposed to simplify. So there the question is simplify 3x squared y over 8xy cubed divided by 9x cubed over 4y squared, 4y cubed. So the question is 3x squared times y over 8x y cubed divided by that is 9x cubed over 4y to the power 4. So if you want to simplify a question like this one, we need to change this into multiplication. So 3 is times x times x, since x is squared, times y over, here we are going to have 8. 80, I'll write it 8 is same as 4 times 2 times x times y times y times y, then times, after we change this operator into a multiplication, this will go on top. So this will be 4 times y times y times y times y over 9 is same as 3 times x times x times x. So let's cancel. We'll begin 3 here, 3 we cancel, this x we cancel, this x we cancel, this one, okay. So let's now cancel. We have this 4, this 4, this y here, this y here, this y here. Okay, so here on top, here we have y times, here there is only y over 2 times x, then times, here there is only 3 times x. So our final answer will be y squared over 2 times x times 3 is 6, x times x is x squared, according to my simplification. So this is how we can answer questions like this. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.